The guys at the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas, featured on Pawn Stars, are experts in their line of work. The gang buys and sells muskets, coins, signatures, and vehicles, and has the charisma to win over global TV viewers. The History Channel has hit a home run with this show, but even smashing commercial success can't guarantee perfection. Keeping that in mind, let's talk about Pawn Stars Chumlee's worst deals. First off, diamonds aren't always your friends. In a 2010 broadcast on the History Channel, Rick Harrison revealed how his girlfriend cheated on him with his best friend. This set the prologue for the entire episode, where we learned that not all best friends are to be trusted. A well-dressed man was trying to pawn some diamond studs, and Harrison had the perfect set of inquiries. The vendor was knowledgeable and even provided a receipt. The owner paid out the sum of $40,000. After waiting for 3 days, the cops finally arrived. The jewelry was stolen. Harrison was out $40K, the victim recovered her jewels, and the thief was eventually caught. Secondly, cubic zirconias are bad too. Richard, the old man Harrison, who passed away in 2008, had remarked that imitation diamonds were the thing that tricked him the most. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, numerous pawn shops were taken aback by cubic zirconia, a synthetic diamond that looks almost identical to natural diamonds. In a 2010 History Channel special, Harrison claimed nobody knew about them, and they tested as diamonds. Everybody in the business bought a ton of them. He claimed to have thrown away almost $30,000. In a nutshell, too perfect, as Corey put it, is how the fake rocks appear. If you hear someone selling diamonds on the street, first of all, the setting probably gives you a clue on authenticity, and always assume that they're not selling real stones. He suggested using a magnifying lens or seeing a reliable jeweler if you want to be absolutely certain about the authenticity of a gemstone. Next up, let's talk about the Jimi Hendrix experience. When a salesman with long hair claimed to have one of Jimi Hendrix's electric guitars, Rick Harrison lost it. A guitar that was actually owned and played by the legend himself would be the coolest guitar to ever come through my shop, he said in a 2014 episode. Harrison sought advice from Cowtown guitarist Jesse Amoroso, a local guru in the field. Apparently, Hendrix did use the '63 Olympic white Fender Stratocaster as claimed by Amoroso. There were photographs, documents, and a serial number from its illustrious past, as well as the telltale scuff marks of the left-handed rough riffer. According to Amoroso, its auction value was somewhere about $1 million. It took a $450,000 investment from Harrison. The asking price was $750,000. Harrison bid $600,000 as he turned to go, but he didn't stop walking in those shoes. Do you think Amoroso made a secret arrangement with the pawn shop's client, or is the Fender just a better fit for his particular line of work? Next up, the Rolex incident. Even though Corey Harrison spent his childhood at the family pawn store, he still had to put in the time and effort to learn the tricks and trades of the industry. In a 2010 documentary, the Big Hoss acknowledged that when he initially started working the night shift, he didn't have a lot of experience, but like any other 18-year-old kid, thought he knew everything anyhow. Word must have spread quickly because he bought 6 fake Rolexes in the span of a week. His carelessness caused his family to lose $4,000. According to what the audience has seen, there are many cons operating in the fake watch market. In a 2009 interview, Corey's dad Rick Harrison warned against purchasing any Rolex online. Stop yourself from making a purchase on Craigslist. Coming up, the fake autograph. Rick gambled away $13,000 in the 6th season episode Say It Ain't So on a book he believed would have the original signature of baseball great Shoeless Joe Jackson without first contacting his trusted experts. At the assessment, Rick said that considering Jackson's lack of literacy, the signature could be the rarest sports autograph ever. Rick opted to buy the item despite his reservations and the seller's questionable authenticity guarantee. When Rick received the bad news from his book expert, Rebecca, that the signature was likely a fake, he submitted it to a second authenticator who confirmed that it was certainly a fabrication, and a very poor one at that. Moving on, we have the incident with the uniforms. In the 2012 episode Free Willy, Corey foolishly paid $31,000 for a 1961 San Francisco Giants outfit that he mistook to be worn by Willie Mays. But there were obvious warning signs right off the get with this one. Chumlee noticed right away that everything about the uniform was spotless and remarked that in no way did it appear to be worn from repeated use. Badass Willie Mays could be seen slipping and sliding through the mud and grass. Right on, chum. No authentication paperwork was presented by the vendor either. Big Hoss, on the other hand, took a chance and paid dearly for it. In other words, the site after the uniform was featured on Pawn Stars Hall of Shame did extensive research and discovered that the owners were unable to sell it for $80,000 and then even less at auction 2 years later, netting only $19,200. The situation actually worsens. According to Hall of Shame's communication with Dave Grubb, the head uniform authenticator at Mears, Mays never actually wore the jersey during a game because it was never his. As a point of reference, the estimated value of this Spalding salesman's sample is between $2,000 and $3,000. Even though Corey made nearly $20,000 $100,000 on the sale of his car, we doubt he is happy with the deal. What's more, the incident with Wells Fargo. Rick made a peculiar error in judgment in the 5th season episode, Corey's Big Play, by purchasing an item he hadn't thoroughly researched beforehand. After shelling out $450 for what he thought was a unique Wells Fargo safe from the 19th century, when he opened it, he discovered that the box contained nothing but a work of pure imagination by the show's resident expert. Mark, the Beard of Knowledge Hall Patton, put a new spin on the knife by claiming it is one of the most counterfeit objects in the world. The seller was kind enough to provide 2 ball and chain sets. He assumed they were relics from the prisons at Yuma and Folsom, but Rick quickly deduced that they were in fact fakes. The old man, who had been watching the whole thing, didn't waste any time rubbing it in when he told Rick, "I thought it was false at first, but I let it go through so I could have something to hold over your head." Next up, the loss at auction. Everything that doesn't sell at the world's most famous gold and silver pawn shop is put up for auction. Rick tried to do this by putting up for auction a number of expensive items at Julian's Auctions in Los Angeles. The Indie Channel claims that among these artifacts was a 1940s Indian motorcycle complete with a sidecar and a Fender Stratocaster that belonged to and was performed by Vic Flick. Unfortunately, he had to fork over an unfavorable sum totaling $29,000 for the motorcycle and $35,000 for the instrument. Ouch. Since he said he lost about $100,000, it's clear that his other investments did not go well. He had to sell most of his things, and it hurt him to move out. He'd been trying to find a good thing about this, but couldn't. Rick talked about the "I'm afraid to go back to the shop" episode on the Rick's Roulette podcast. Yes, old man, those kids do belong to someone. Lastly, we have the Robo ripoff. Robosaurus, a shape-shifting 31-ton Tyrannosaurus Rex that breathes fire, was the dinosaur that Chumlee most wanted to get. It likes to eat cars and small planes. The fact that the robot was made in the 1980s makes it sound scary, but it's actually very cute. When Corey Big Hoss Harrison and his coworker finally met the people who sold them the dinosaur in 2012, Harrison's coworker said that he'd never seen him this excited. Chumlee believed that it would be a money-making machine and would be a good place to put a sign saying "for rent." Because of this, it is good for bar mitzvahs. It can be used for very big demolition derbies. With this, you could make $25,000 a day. The price tag indicates that it is $1 million, but Harrison refrained from showing any signs of aggression. He said that Robosaurus was the largest and least useful thing he had ever seen. It was wise to not care about Russell. Robo hasn't changed hands since 2008 when it was sold at an auction for historic cars in Arizona for $575,000. That's a wrap for this video. Do you want to know more about the worst deals ever on Pawn Stars? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.